Hey, it's Andrew with Great Miami Outfitters. Today I'm going to break down the different kayak categories that we have and talk to you about what the differences are. We're going to start with whitewater boats. So in the bow to stern of a whitewater boat, what you're going to expect to be able to do, the waterways you're going to want to paddle is to be able to get into different types of whitewater, moving water. This is going to allow you to ferry across the whitewater, to peel out of the whitewater, to be able to eddy out, to be able to do whatever you're getting into, which makes it nice. What you're going to get with this type of boat is a much smaller boat. So the bow to stern, you're not really seeing a lot of storage or anything like that. What you are going to get is you're going to get a really tight cockpit, which is going to be really secure around your thighs and around your hips all together, which makes it nice to be able to really move. Your body's going to be moving the boat and negotiating with whitewater, which makes it nice. So that's going to be a whitewater kayak, is mainly used for playing in moving water. Next up on the list is going to be what we call our recreation kayaks. Recreation kayaks do a lot. This is one of our biggest categories altogether, and the reason being is this. If we look at our bow, which is the front of our boat, all the way to the stern, which is the back of our boat, what we're usually going to get with a recreation boat is a nice wide platform. That way it's extremely stable for you. Usually in between 10 to 13 feet is a recreation kayak. In the cockpit area, which is the area that you're going to be sitting, what you're going to notice a little bit different than whitewater boats. In recreation, we're going to be extending our cockpit out, so it's a much easier entrance and exit out of the kayak, making it a lot nicer to be able to launch from maybe a dock or a beach or anything like that. What you're also going to notice with the recreation kayak, other than the length and the extended cockpit, is that we're going to go into really comfortable seating systems. You're going to be in this boat maybe all day long on a lake, on a local river or things like that. And so being able to be in your boat all day long and comfortable is going to be a significant part of a recreation kayak. As we move towards the stern, most recreation boats are going to have something called a bulkhead, and what that's going to be is our partition between our cockpit and the stern of our boat. What this does is if our boat were to turn over, it's not going to completely fill up with water. It's going to be an easier drainage of the water while in the lake or in the lazy river, and an easier re-entry back into this large cockpit and sitting back down on the boat. What accompanies the bulkhead most of the time is going to be something called our storage compartment. And so we're going to be able to store some gear, whether we're taking a lunch with us, we're packing for a multi-day trip, whatever we're getting into. So recreation kayaks truly are great for that local all-day river trip, or if you're going to be getting into lakes, whatever you're getting into, lakes, rivers, streams, anything and everything. It's kind of a Swiss Army category. Next, we're going to bring it up a little bit. We're going to talk about sea kayaks, and what sea kayaks are is going bow to stern on a sea kayak. These are going to be when we're going to be going up and we're going to be going larger water, more lakes, larger lakes, ocean, things like that, where we're going to want to be able to have a boat that can handle large water, okay? And B, we're going to be able to pack a lot of different type of gear in here if we're doing multi-day trips. With that, our bow all the way to our stern, when we're coming into that, is we're going to have that same concept. We're going to have access points with our bulkheads coming in here. So we're going to actually have a bow bulkhead, and then we're going to go into our cockpit area here. And with our cockpit area, we're going to be a little bit smaller. We're going to go back towards a little bit smaller than the recreation kayaks. And the reason is when we're in there, we want to be a little bit snugger so we're able to use our body to be able to move the boat and help with our maneuvers and help with our strokes as well. But it's not so small where you feel confined, which is nice as well. You can still reach in there and have a little bit of gear access or water bottle or anything like that, which is super. And then as we proceed back, most of these sea kayaks are going to have something we call like a day storage, which is behind us, deck lashings to be able to enter our paddles into, where if we were to capsize in a lake, say Lake Erie, the ocean, anything else like that, one of the Great Lakes, etc. The nice part about this is going to be fully rigged, that we're going to be able to use our paddle, maybe some safety equipment such as a paddle float, or a sling to be able to re-enter our boat and to be able to proceed on. We can still skirt our boat on the cockpit, and we have plenty of storage coming back. We're looking at anywhere from a 14-foot to a 17.5-foot kayak when we're talking sea kayaks. And once again, this is going to be mainly for that larger body of water or multi-day trips altogether. The fourth category we're going to talk about today is called fishing or kayak angling. The nice part about kayak angling is this: you can fish kayak angle out of any kayak, which makes it nice. Now, the specific models of kayaks that are set up for fishing make it a little bit easier. Generally, they're going to be a sit on top versus a sit in, which are the three models that we just talked about. With the sit on tops, it's a little bit easier to access your gear storage, as well as your rods, bring a fish into your boat, nets, etc., which makes it really nice. You're usually going to see a nice wide platform with all of these, where you can stand up and cast out of, or you can stand up and negotiate whether you're on a river, a lake, a pond, a shallow stream, a creek, wherever you're at. These are going to give you that ability to be able to access those different holes and different areas that you want to be fishing. Okay, so our crossover boats, we do have two other categories I want to talk to you about. We've got something called a crossover whitewater recreation boat, and what that's going to be is we're taking a whitewater kayak and we're taking a recreation kayak, and you know what happens, and now we have a crossover whitewater boat. What that looks like is this. We're going to have a little bit of a longer boat than our whitewater kayaks with a little bit more of a generous cockpit, but we're still going to have the outfitting, the seating that's going to be able to encompass the hips and the thighs, where you can still use this in moving water and whitewater, but you can also use this on lakes, rivers, streams, and slack water. Some of the characteristics that allows you to do that is A, the length. We're going to be a little bit longer than a whitewater kayak. B, what we're also going to do with that is on the backside here, we're going to allow for a actual skeg to be able to be deployed. So when we're in slack water, slow water, we're able to deploy that skeg, and that's going to allow our boat to track from point A to point B a lot straighter, where a lot of whitewater movement is going to be, we want to be very movable. We want to be able to move on a dime with that. The other part that's going to be the crossover with this is going to be our back hatch with it. We're going to be able to get a little gear storage. We have that bulkhead once again, so now we can allow for gear storage or for lake use or for slack water. So this boat is great if you're going, hey, I don't know what I want to do. Whitewater, I want to do moving water, I want to do lakes, I want to do rivers, I want to do everything. Maybe a crossover boat's really the way to go for you at that point. Another hybrid boat is going to be the touring model. So touring boats are going to be our recreation kayak with our sea kayak. Once again, you know what happens at that point. Now we have a touring kayak that comes out, and a touring kayak is really that mix where we're going to have a little bit more of a length, a little bit slender as far as the main beam, the width of the boat, which is going to allow us to be on some bigger water. The length is going to allow us maybe to pack some more gear on it or to be able to do some more maneuvers. The top deck is going to allow us to be able to have a lot more gear storage, whether it's our bilge pump, our paddle floats, an extra paddle, whatever, map case, whatever it's going to be. We're going to have now dual bulkheads, so a front partition along with a back partition at this point, which is going to be a little bit more like a sea kayak, but our opening or cockpit itself is not going to be as big as a recreation boat or as small as a sea kayak. It's right in between. You can still put a neoprene skirt on this, that way you're waterproof, so you can still learn high braces, low braces, your roll, everything out of this. With the shorter length, what you're going to be able to do with a touring kayak versus a sea kayak maybe is to go on some tighter moving water, whether that's rivers or creeks. You're going to be able to progress right to larger lakes, much bigger lakes, maybe greater lakes, etc. So the touring kayak and the crossover whitewater recreation kayak really have a place in that. I don't know what my 80% of my use is going to be. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do everything. These are pretty valuable categories altogether.